Welcome to another episode of How to Start a Board Game Company. My name is Jake Cormier from Off the Page Games. Now this week I want to take a look at the 7 ways that I use to engage my audience during my campaign. I thought you might find these interesting. There's probably more ways, but these are the 7 that I used. So let's go through them. First off, number 1, just kind of an overall thing about engagement is to stay on brand. So all of the following steps or ideas, just make sure you're on brand to your game so that everything feels organic and feels like it really belongs to that game and to that campaign. Like, for example, I had a secret mission in my campaign because mine was mind management, which was about spies. And so I had wanted people to feel like they were spies. And so it took a long time, and I created a secret mission that involved other Kickstarter campaigns and other websites and reviewers, and everyone had to hide secret codes everywhere. And you had to go find these secret codes, and it was pretty convoluted. It wasn't straightforward. And then you had to decode it, which in order to decode it, you had to actually sign up for a newsletter. So the cool thing was that you kind of had to visit all the different things that I wanted you to visit and do in order to do the secret mission. And once solved, they had to post images to social media. So it's just another way to engage your audience, get them invested in and help communicate and advertise your project on social media. So that's a win-win in that case. How about this? Let's go to number 2. So that's staying on brand. Number 2 is, can you show off your game with some sort of puzzles of the game state to solve? Or can you actually play the game with them on Kickstarter? That's what we were able to do with mind management. Because it's a one versus many game, it worked perfectly, and I know it won't work like that for many, but we were able to play the game every night. They would update, and the cool thing was that I told them to go to the comment section and comment with their thoughts and ideas about what they should do next, and I gave them a specific hashtag, capture J, and then capture send once we played it a second time. And this allowed them to talk about it, and also kind of guided people to the comments area of the campaign. And I think trying to do things that get people into your comments and talking to each other is really good. And I think sometimes people will see a campaign, and if it's like, 4 days left in the campaign or 2 days left, and there's like 65 comments, it kind of is a sign that it's not a very engaging campaign. But if you got like 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 comments, wow, a lot of stuff's going on, even though it might be things like commenting on the board game state and the puzzles that you're putting up, which is fine. That's engagement. That's getting people talking and coming back to your campaign, which is, I think, fun, and some people really like that. Some people don't. They click it, back it, and then they don't ever think of it again until it's time to fill out the pledge manager. But I think that's great. If you can't do a puzzle, like, here's a puzzle with this information. If you know how to play the game, what would be the next move to best solve this thing? If you can do those would be kind of fun. Otherwise, maybe you can encourage print and play if you have a print and play option, and have people talk about it or tweet about it with pictures. That would be also a good way to engage it. And maybe there's a stretch goal associated with how many times people have tweeted out or Facebook post or Instagram post about playing your game with the print and play. Or even less requirement is if you can get it uploaded to Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator, get people to play it there, comment on it and whatnot. Those are kind of good ideas. Number 3, getting into comments. We talked a little bit about the importance of comments, but key thing here is to respond to every single comment. Now, of course, you're going to answer every question that's asked. That's obvious. But even any comment, just thank them for commenting and contributing, and try not to sound like a robot. Try to really thank that person for contributing and being interested and taking time to contribute. So really make sure your comments is kind of blowing up, and it's more fun for you as a backer as a backer, but as a creator, I think it's more fun when your comments are just popping and you're having a lot of dialogue and chats. And I know there's only so much time in a day, but that was a fun part of the campaign for me, is engaging with your backers directly like that. Now let's talk about, though, number 4 is kind of how to respond properly to some questions and suggestions that are coming in, because you want to make sure that you are appreciative of your backers' thoughts and time they took to suggest something, because they're so invested in your game, having maybe not played it yet, that they have some ideas and thoughts and questions about your game. So that's great that they're that invested that they want to ask questions and spend more time on the site. Great. So thank them. Thanks so much for your interest and whatnot. The flip side is you don't want to seem like you're just a pushover and you're going to react and change everything based on every single person's comment. You have to have your vision, and it has to be a strong vision, and you have to believe in your vision, and you have to be adaptable to hearing other people's comments, much like you do when you're playtesting. But it is your game, so you do get to make the say. But it's how you say it is very important, so that you still seem appreciative, but also can kind of guide the conversation in the way you want. Let's take a look at one example that I did. All right, in one of my updates, I had an update about a website I was going to use to house some additional FAQs and rules that were deemed necessary that couldn't fit on a sealed package contents. Because in these sealed package games and legacy type games, they usually in their sealed package come with a little rules or a sticker goes in the rule book, but often that's not enough, and there has to be errata and whatnot, usually on BGG. But I had an idea of having this website, blah, blah, blah. Here's this one person saying, knowing you plan to have rules and FAQs for sealed packages based on codes that are searchable on your website is a bit of a turnoff. Single studio websites often get redesigned and die before I get to download their promised Kickstarter bumper rules. And it means gameplay is always tied to internet access. Please consider consolidating these rules into a single optional download of a PDF that we can choose to print. So my response was Peter. I always put the @ first, @Peter. So the reason being that if you're viewing it on a computer, desktop computer, it's fine. Everything gets kind of indented like this. But if you're viewing it on their app, it's terrible. And they just kind of come one after the other, and they're not attached to the original message. So sometimes people don't know who you're responding to. So I always put their name first, @Peter. This is a great point. Boom, right off the bat, just saying great point right off the bat. And then I give them a little bit of my thinking. My thinking, and again, I'm not saying I'm doing anything or I am or not doing anything, was that with a website, we could update any of the rules pages as more FAQs come in from players. So the most up-to-date rules would be found there. It's also a great way of keeping secret things secret. You won't be able to access it until you know the code from that sealed package. And then I go back and say, I'll think about how a single PDF could work. We lose the adaptability and we lose keeping things secret, but I do see what we gain. There's value in that too. Great question. Feel free to chime in if you have more thoughts or a solution that better accommodates our game. So they can see my direction that I want to go and why I chose what I chose, but I'm totally open to hearing some ideas and direction from them as well. Number 5, a way to keep your audience engaged is give them the tools to be engaged. And that could be simple as give them some avatars so that they can update their social media profiles. Give them links to make it easy for them. Click here to share this on Facebook, on your Facebook immediately. Boom, click it and it goes right to their Facebook and shares something with them. Even a media kit. If you could have like a media kit, which is obviously great for the media, like press and whatnot, but it's even great for backers. It's they can access images, and I told people in updates, hey, go check out the media kit. There's images in there if you want to use that to share to Facebook. That's fantastic. So I used that also in my secret mission. There was images in the media kit that they needed to post, so it was kind of a win-win for me. Okay, now number 6 is a good one, is message every single backer. Now, what I mean by that is literally in your messages, the private, like direct messages on Kickstarter, as they come in, well, even if it's within the same day, even the next day, message them, thanking them for backing your game. And personalize it. I put the person's name every time. I'm like, hi, Steve, hi, Mary, whatever. And then there's a message that goes after it, and that message is different depending on the pledge level reward that they chose. If they chose $1, they get a different message, because I want to encourage them to, like, well, I hope you stay tuned to the updates, pay attention to what's going on, and then I hope we can convert you into a backer by the end of this campaign. That kind of a message. And then for the other ones, I want them to have a nice sincere message about how I poured my heart and soul into this game, and I'm so passionate about it, and I'm so happy that you decided to back us. Looking forward to it, that kind of thing. Yeah, so message every single backer. Now, it does take a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but on the other hand, that's great that it's a lot of work. It means you're getting a lot of backers. So I would sit there sometimes when I'm in the middle of like, if I forgot to update for a day or message people for a day, and I'm like, oh shoot, I have to do that, and I go start going in, there's like 300 I have to do. I'm like, I don't get upset or despair because I'm like, wow, that's 300 backers I have since I last messaged people. This is great. I'll sit here and do this all day because that means more backers are coming in. This is great. So I just have the right mindset for that. And then the last one, number 7, is time your stretch goals so that you always have a poll going on. So maybe they're not tied to stretch goals, but usually they are. And I'm sure there's other creative ways to do polls. But have polls going on, not all the time, but almost all the time. Have something going on. And there's different ways to run a poll, but I like the way where you go into the comments section and you add your vote for that poll in the comments. And I think that's a really cool way to do it. And I, again, respond to every single one. And what I did was I responded and then put the total, the subtotal at that point of all the potential votes in each response so people could see how it was trending and possibly may or may not affect if they voted or what they voted for. But this gets people talking and it gets them excited, and you put this in your update to kind of motivate them to come back and like have a say, and they get invested and they get a feeling like they're helping to contribute and shape this game to be different than even what the creator thought it was going to be, which is true in my case. We had a secret board that has one side and had nothing on the other side, and we had a poll, what do you want on the other side? And I was really surprised because I really thought they were going to do a features only other side where the features are really clear and there's no other art on it, so it really pops. And the actual voting came for a new comic from Matt Kint, which is really cool. So that's just neat that your backers can help shape it. Now the danger to having polls is that if you don't get what you want, you might get mad. So I try not to make polls about things that are gameplay specific or will impact gameplay. This is a back of a piece of a component. The other thing that I had a poll on, two other things I had a poll on. One was on the recruit meeple. I had these little meeples here and had people vote on what shape they wanted to vote on. This is one that won, by the way. And so that's, again, a shape of a meeple is a good thing to have people vote on, get passionate about, or a color. If you have things where you don't care, you care, but you give them options of what color would you like for the 5th player, for example, in some games. Those are solid things you can have votes on. And the only other vote we had was when they captured me during the game we played online, they got to win either a new recruiter, a new agent, or a new ally. And so that's another way to keep people engaged. So that's the top 7 things that I did to keep people engaged in my campaign. And I believe that we had a pretty engaging campaign. I even did a survey at the end of my Kickstarter and got some interesting stats here. Here was, how would you respond to these comments? I like that I was able to play the game of mind management with others during the campaign. Strongly disagree to strongly agree. And the results are 52% were neutral. They didn't care. But 42% agreed or strongly agreed. And I'm saying percent because we actually had 101 response, so it's pretty close to being a percent. Secret mission, how many people like secret mission? 32 strongly agreed, 30 neutral because it didn't play, and 30. So 62 strongly agreed or agreed that there was it was great. They strongly agreed that they liked that there was a secret mission to partake in. I liked how involved the creator was in the comments. So let's take a look at this one. Strongly, 64 strongly agreed, 22, so 86% agreed or strongly agreed that the creator was involved. That's pretty wild, with only 6. I don't know who would be disagreed that the creator was. That's funny, but that's the feedback. I like how the stretch goals are spread out. The reviewers, like there was a print and play. How many liked that there was a print and play? Most neutral, but still 49% agreed or strongly agreed. Only a few disagreed. That was available on Tabletopia. 41% with only 2 disagreeing. Helps reinforce a few of the things, even though it's a small sample size. I'm going to actually try to grow that sample size in my next update to try to encourage people to go back and fill that survey out. More engagement, see? That's it for me for this week. Hope it was interesting. Thank you very much for watching.